reiterates India's strong position in Global South. US blocks UN Security Council resolution vote put forward by the UAE for humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. 13 of the Council's 15 members voted in favor of a ceasefire, while Britain abstained. IOC clears some Russian athletes to compete in Paris 2024 Olympics as neutrals. Approval limited to individual sports. No team entries permitted. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi reiterated India's strong position in Global South. He said that there is better environment for investment in India. Prime Minister was addressing the second edition of prominent financial technology event Infinity Forum 2.0 on Saturday via video conferencing. Infinity Forum is a global thought leadership platform on financial technology that fosters discovery, discussion and development and solutions and also opportunities. This event is also a precursor to Vibrant Gujarat Global Summit 2024. During his address, Prime Minister also spoke about turning Gujarat International Finance Tech City into a global hub of financial and technology services.
गिफ्ट IFSCA को ट्रेडिशनल फाइनेंस और वेंचर से आगे ले जाना चाहती है। हम गिफ्ट सिटी को न्यू एज ग्लोबल फाइनेंशियल एंड टेक्नोलॉजी सर्विसेज का ग्लोबल नर्व सेंटर बनाना चाहते हैं। मुझे विश्वास है गिफ्ट सिटी के प्रोडक्ट्स और सर्विसेज विश्व के सामने खड़ी चुनौतियों का समाधान करने में मदद करेंगे।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also interact with beneficiaries of Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra via video conferencing on Saturday. The program will be joined virtually by thousands of Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra beneficiaries from across the country, with more than 2,000 vans, thousands of Krishi Vigyan Kendras and common service centers from across the country connected during the program. Indian Minister for Petroleum and Natural Gas and Housing and Urban Affairs Hardeep Singh Puri interacted with beneficiaries of Ujjwala scheme who expressed their common experience of saving time and hard work after getting the Ujjwala gas connection. He said providing relief and clean cooking gas to all poor women is the guarantee of India's Prime Minister. He was addressing the beneficiaries of India's PM Ujjwala Yojana as part of Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra in Palakkad on Saturday. India's Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar inaugurated the Sarthak Global Resource Centre in Gurugram on Saturday. The centre, dedicated to the education and skill development of persons with disabilities, was launched during the 10th National Conference on Disability. During the event, Vice President said that our perception of people with disabilities has constrained their accomplishments.
कि महिलाओं को कुछ काम नहीं दिए जा सकते, वो उसके योग्य नहीं है. That ceiling has been broken. Our girls are combat pilots. Combat pilots. They are in the front line of defense. Every walk of life. Same is true of people whom we call disabled. They are not disabled. We take them to be disabled.
On Saturday, 343 young officers graduated from the Indian Military Academy to join the armed forces for national service. 29 cadets from friendly nations also successfully completed their training. The passing out parade held in the Indian city of Dehradun was reviewed by Sri Lanka's Chief of Defence Staff, General Dr. Shavendra Silva. Since its establishment, the IMA has seen 65,234 domestic and international cadets pass out. A team of British officials is in Delhi for the latest round of talks on trade deal between India and the UK. DD India's London correspondent Ollie Barrett reports.
The British media is reporting renewed momentum in talks on a multi-million-dollar trade agreement between London and Delhi. The 13th round of talks this is between the two sides. From a British perspective, the government of Rishi Sunak would like to deliver a deal before the next general election, which needs to take place at some point in the next 13 months. It's reported that issues to be discussed in these negotiations include things like lower tariffs for British goods in India, such as cars and whiskey, and faster processing for Indian companies to send workers to the UK. The UK government believes a deal would need to be reached by the end of February, before India's election, and London would paint it as an example of a post-Brexit victory, given that the European Union hasn't been able to reach a free trade deal with India. A spokesperson for the UK's Department of Business and Trade said, going into the talks, the UK and India continue to work towards an ambitious trade deal that works for both countries. Ollie Barrett in London, reporting for DD India.
As COP28 enters its second week, over 800 signatories and counting from a broad spectrum of society joined the forces to call on Sultan Al Jaber and all parties to deliver a 1.5 degrees Celsius aligned outcome in response to the global stocktake, because later is too late. Amidst the second week of COP28, a powerful coalition comprising of more than 800 signatories representing diverse sectors such as business, finance, philanthropy, politics, academia and civil society has united in a resounding call for decisive climate action. In a letter addressed to President Sultan Al Jaber on Friday, these signatories underscored the critical nature of the moment, emphasizing that as COP28 nears its conclusion, the world stands at a tipping point. Professor Daniel Wood serves as an assistant professor in the program in Media, Arts and also Sciences, and holds a joint appointment in the Department of Aeronautics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Professor Wood serves at MIT as a faculty lead for African Diaspora Studies. DD India correspondent Vinod Kumar spoke to her at COP28. Let's listen in.
Hi, we are here at COP28 Dubai. With me is Daniel Wood, professor at MIT in United States of America. She's here to showcase how satellite data and satellite intelligence can be used to mitigate climate change in the world. Hi, Daniel.
Hello.
What brings you here at COP28?
I want to share the news that there's a lot of free and commercially available data that's vital to our work in addressing climate change. We can use satellites to observe what's happening in the oceans, with our forests and vegetation, our crops. We can even monitor greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide and methane.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. Can you delve in a little bit deeper of what kind of the technologies that we can use in doing this mitigation?
There's new commercially available data, especially in the methane space, that's coming online now, and plenty of government data, for example, from the United States and from Europe, and some of that data is freely available. But there is a lot of work that's needed using both cloud computing, sometimes artificial intelligence, to help make these large data sets available for policymakers so they can track what's happening with climate change and climate mitigation.
India and the United States of America is collaborating in a project called NISAR. Synthetic aperture radar. So how do you think that the data from this satellite is going to help in climate change mitigation?
I'm very excited about the NASA-Israel cooperation. Synthetic aperture radar is a great technology where a satellite orbits the Earth. It sends a radio signal from space down to Earth, helps us measure what's happening with soil moisture. I'm working, for example, on a project in Africa, in the country of Angola, and we need high-resolution data about soil moisture, such as we're going to get from NISAR. This will help us understand who's impacted by floods and droughts.
The Embassy of India in Nepal, in collaboration with Lumbini Development Trust and the Lumbini Buddhist University, organized the inaugural India-Nepal Cultural Festival in Nepal's Lumbini on Friday. The festival showcased the rich cultural heritage and tradition of India and Nepal, with focus on Buddhism. The festival featured sand mandala drawing art exhibition prepared by monk artists from Hemis Monastery in Ladakh, photo exhibition based on the photographs of renowned photographer Binoy Behal, a street food festival featuring Indian and Nepali cuisines, along with a vibrant cultural program. A quick look at other stories making it to the headlines today from India. In the early hours of Saturday, heavy rainfall swept across Coimbatore region in India, causing significant impact. The downpour affected various areas, leading to concerns about potential flooding and disruption. India's Coast Guard helicopters continued the noble relief efforts for the third day by airdropping 300 food packets to the stranded people in the inundated areas of Chennai. The Directorate of Revenue Intelligence arrested 2 people and recovered nearly 9 kilograms of heroin worth 62 crores from a vehicle in India's northeastern city of Dimapur on Friday. Chief Justice of India, Dr. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud on Friday inaugurated the new office premises of the Central Administrative Tribunal, Mumbai bench, and appreciated the central government for its dedicated efforts and cooperation in developing judicial infrastructure. Thousands of Siberian birds started arriving to Hapur's Bridge Ghat in the Indian state of Uttar Pradesh on Saturday. Various species of birds fly from Siberia to wetlands in India when the temperatures fall in the Balkans. These migratory birds become a major attraction for tourists. A total of 13 people were arrested in the ISIS terror conspiracy case from Indian city of Pune on Saturday, following searches by the National Investigation Agency at 44 locations in the state of Karnataka and Maharashtra. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Unfazed by international criticism, North Korea determined to launch more spy satellites in the near future. EU moves towards becoming the first major world power to enact laws governing artificial intelligence. Indian men's hockey team to toil hard against Canada in the ongoing Junior Men's Hockey World Cup in Malaysia.
Namaskar, welcome back to Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives.
Perhaps Rajiv Gandhi realized that it was not easy to work with a person like Pranab Mukherjee, who had a very strong mind of his own, backed with a formidable combination of knowledge, experience and expertise. Your own Vice President had shown publicly such disdain for your own government's decision, his own government's decision. Why should people vote for you again? Whether that true Congress ideology of inclusiveness, of tolerance of divergence of opinion, whether that divergence of opinion is being followed by the adherents of today's, the leaders and the workers of today's Congress party.
In a world that never stops, where information shapes our reality, one app stands out, helps you stay ahead of time. Introducing the DD India app, your gateway to a world of news right at your fingertips. Your most trusted source of news goes global, goes digital. Explore a world of options, top stories, live updates, in-depth analysis, and more. Stay informed wherever you are. Real-time alerts keep you ahead of the curve always. The DD India app, connecting you to the world, one story at a time. Download now and explore the world of knowledge, insights, and authentic information.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live and I'm Preeti. Let's get you more international updates. The United States on Friday vetoed a proposed United Nations Security Council demand for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the conflict between Israel and terrorist group Hamas in Gaza. 4 earlier drafts presented since the war broke out were rejected by the Security Council. 13 other members voted in favor of a brief draft resolution put forward by the United Arab Emirates, while Britain abstained. The US had offered substantial amendments to the draft, including a condemnation of the October 7th Hamas terrorist attacks that killed 1,200 Israeli people and in which 240 people were taken hostage. Jody Jacobs reports from New York on this.
13 UN Security Council members voted yes, the United Kingdom abstained, and the United States vetoed the vote. The United Arab Emirates, who tabled the resolution, which was co-sponsored by more than 90 UN member states, says it's extremely disappointed and that it will redouble its efforts to call for a ceasefire. The US Deputy Ambassador to the UN, Robert Wood, says while it supports durable peace, it cannot support calls for an immediate ceasefire. This, he says, because Hamas has no desire for peace or to see a two-state solution. The vote on Friday here in New York comes after Antonio Guterres deployed a rarely used Article 99 of the UN Charter, calling to the attention of the Council any matter which in his opinion may threaten the maintenance of international peace and security. The Palestinian permanent observer Riyad Mansour says this is a sad day and that it will not stop calling for a ceasefire and to stop the killing of Palestinian people. Mansour says millions of Palestinian lives hang in the balance. Every single one of them, he says, is sacred and worth saving. Israel's UN ambassador Gilad Erdan did not address the Security Council after the vote, but in a statement said that a ceasefire will be possible only with the return of all the hostages and the destruction of Hamas. Meanwhile, the Commissioner General of UNRWA, the UN's humanitarian wing in Gaza, has written to the President of the UN General Assembly to inform him that the organization's ability to continue delivering its mandate in Gaza has now become very limited. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has told Council members here in New York that the eyes of the world and the eyes of history are watching, demanding that the international community do everything possible to end the ordeal of the people of Gaza. Jody Jacobs at the United Nations in New York, reporting for DD India.
The Biden administration has asked Congress to approve the sale of 45,000 shells for Israel's Merkava tanks for use in its operations against Hamas in Gaza. The potential sale, worth more than $500 million, is not part of President Biden's $110.5 billion supplemental request that includes funding for Ukraine and Israel. It is under informal review by the Senate Foreign Relations and House of Representatives Foreign Affairs Committees. The move would allow Israel to prepare for contingencies even given the high tensions in the region, one of the U.S. officials said. More than 70 U.S. lawmakers on Friday demanded the governing boards of 3 of the country's top universities remove their presidents. Lawmakers cited dissatisfaction with their testimony at a hearing about anti-Semitism on campuses. In the letter, Republican Representative Elise Stefanik and Democratic Representative Jared Moskowitz demanded that the Board of Governors at the Harvard University, the University of Pennsylvania, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology oust their presidents or risk committing an act of complicity in their anti-Semitic posture. Penn President Liz Magill, Harvard President Claudine Gay, and MIT President Sati Kornbluth, who all testified before a U.S. House of Representatives committee on Tuesday, have come under fire from their school's Jewish communities for their handling of clashes between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian contingents since Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. Calls for McGill's and Gay's resignations in particular have mounted in the days since their testimony, during which they declined to give a definitive yes or no as an answer to Stefanik's question of whether calling for the genocide of Jews would violate their school's code of conduct regarding bullying and harassment. It was signed by 71 Republicans and 3 Democrats. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro unveiled on Friday a new map of Venezuela, which shows the disputed territory of Essequibo amid growing border tensions between Guyana and the country.
Vamos a ver en qué punto del mapa celebramos esta noche.
Tensions escalated over the weekend when voters in Venezuela rejected the ICJ's jurisdiction and backed the creation of a new Venezuelan state in a referendum. Guyana has questioned the vote's legitimacy, put its armed forces on high alert, and said that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is disregarding ICJ's orders about taking no action to change the status quo in Essequibo.
Let's see where on the map we will celebrate tonight. Long live the complete map of Venezuela. Long live the homeland. Long live all the Venezuela.
North Korea is determined to launch more spy satellites in the near future to collect information on military activities of its enemies, state media KCNA said on Saturday. The satellites will be modeled after the Maligyong-1 satellite that Pyongyang launched in November, which the governments in the United States, South Korea and Japan said violated the UN Security Council resolutions. North Korea has been criticized over its ties with Russia by South Korea, Japan and the US, who say that Pyongyang is providing arms support to Moscow in return for help advancing its military capabilities. The United States, South Korea and Japan have agreed on new initiatives to respond to North Korea's threats in cyberspace, including satellite launches and cryptocurrency abuses. The national security advisors of the United States, South Korea and Japan met in Seoul on Saturday as Pyongyang warned that it would deploy more spy satellites. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said the meeting followed up on commitments set forth at Camp David Trilateral Summit hosted by U.S. President Joe Biden in August, where leaders of the three allies pledged to deepen security and economic cooperation.
We're increasing our trilateral defense cooperation, including sharing missile warning data in real time. We've also launched new trilateral initiatives to counter the threats posed by the DPRK, from its cybercrime and cryptocurrency money laundering to its reckless space and ballistic missile tests. When it comes to the DPRK, we are keeping our eye on the ball because it continues to represent a threat to international peace and security and to regional peace and security.
Europe on Friday reached a provisional deal on landmark European Union rules governing the use of artificial intelligence, including governments' use of AI, that is artificial intelligence and biometric surveillance, and how to regulate AI systems such as ChatGPT. The two sides are set to hash out details in the coming days, which could change the shape of the final legislation. Take a look at this report.
With the political agreement, the European Union moves toward becoming the first major world power to enact laws governing artificial intelligence. Friday's deal between European Union countries and European Parliament members came after nearly 15 hours of negotiations that followed an almost 24-hour debate the previous day. The two sides are set to hash out details in the coming days, which could change the shape of the final legislation. The accord requires foundation models such as ChatGPT and general-purpose AI systems, GPAI, to comply with transparency obligations before they are put on the market. These include drawing up technical documentation, complying with EU copyright law, and disseminating detailed summaries about the content used for training. Governments can only use real-time biometric surveillance in public spaces in cases of certain crimes. The agreement bans cognitive behavioral manipulation. Consumers would have the right to launch complaints and receive meaningful explanations while fines for violations. EU chief later in a tweet hailed AI Act as a global first. She said it's a unique legal framework for the development of AI you can trust, and that it will safeguard rights of people and businesses.
Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Saturday the country's migration intake needed to be wound back to a sustainable level as he flagged the release this week of details of migration system changes. Speaking to reporters in Sydney, Albanese said that his government will outline a plan next week to reduce immigration and to crack down on abuses and riots.
We have a plan to fix migration by ensuring Australia can get the skilled workers that Australia needs, but putting an end to any abuse and any rorts. The new migration strategy we'll announce this week will bring migration back to sustainable levels. What I want to see is a system that works for Australia, a system in which we're able to access the skills that we need.
A quick look at other updates making it to the headlines from across the world. The Prince and Princess of Wales, William and Catherine, united in the Christmas Carol service hosted by Princes of Wales at the Westminster Abbey. The festive church service recognises those who have gone above and beyond to help others throughout the year. To surprise both fashion insiders and members of the public, the French fashion house has descended on England's third most populated city for its latest Métiers d'Art event. The annual event showcases lace, embroidery and other crafts produced at Chanel's complex of specialty workshops on the northern outskirts of Paris. Ileana Marquez, a 27-year-old mother and teacher, made history when she was crowned Miss Venezuela 2023. She is the first mother ever to win the coveted Miss Venezuela title in the pageant's 71-year history. She also became the first winner under newly relaxed eligibility rules that allow mothers and married women to compete. New York City parks have displayed dozens of wreath interpretations since 1982. This year, the tradition continues with over 30 handcrafted wreaths that were on display at the Arsenal Gallery in New York. The free exhibit will run until January 4th next year. U.S. stock indices closed higher on Friday with strong gains from Nvidia and Meta platforms after a robust U.S. jobs report fueled investor optimism about a soft landing for the economy. The S&P 500 gained 18.44 points to end at 4,604.03 points, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.42% to end at 14,400.93. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.33% to close at 36,236.8. The International Olympic Committee has cleared some Russian athletes to participate in Paris 2024 Olympics, though they will not be participating in any athletic sports but will be present as neutrals, according to the president of World Athletics. Now, this comes in the wake of the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, and prior to that, Russia was barred from participation for implementing a state-sponsored doping program that resulted in bans from many competitions, including the Olympics. Indian men's hockey team will be facing Canada on Saturday in the ongoing Junior Men's Hockey World Cup in Malaysia, with both teams being the members of Pool C. Team India will have to work sweat and blood to clinch this win. India had lost to Spain in the last match on Thursday and scored a win by 4-2 against Korea in an earlier match. The top two teams from each pool will advance to the quarterfinals, while the bottom two teams in each pool will play for a ranking place from 9th to 16th. The World Cup, which started from the 5th of this month, will come to a close on 16th December. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and also Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti signing off, and from all of us here on DD India, thanks for watching DD India Live.